Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dad. Around next, been a fantastic show for you. A new raid wing next week, new PvP season starting soon, and the meta event Rush Week goes live, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion and host of Zero to Hero on this very channel, and also Vote to Kick. It looks like the community was able to walk the talk since they unburied the Tier 5 chest tonic, and he is going to talk all about it. Say hello to Jim.
Crap, I need to actually participate in the, or is that over? Did I miss it? Do I have to do stuff still?
We'll talk all about it, but it will be ending on Tuesday. Don't worry about 2-2. But yeah, so we'll definitely talk all about that. Looks pretty cool. But she writes for MMORPG.com, also is a moderator over at MMO Champion, and also her own site, MMORly.com. With the constant roaring over the weeks, is she roared out? Say hello to Robin.
Roar!
I guess that's a no.
Yay, hi.
Hey. And once again, thank you, both of you, for taking the reins last week, because I know me and Age were out.
Yeah.
I didn't screw it up too bad, so yay.
Yeah.
Went
pretty well.
Yeah, I liked it. I went back and watched it. I was making sure no one screwed it. No. But yeah, because we would have had to fight, and I would have had to re-raid the channel to get it. I don't know. Basically, coming up this Tuesday, they gave us a trailer of the new raid wing that will be dropping on June 11th, so this Tuesday, and you can actually see the trailer here. The raid will be called the Key of Adashim, or Adashim. I don't know. I'm sure someone will correct me. But yeah, they put up blog posts talking about you've entered the Mystic Forge, bested the Fire Jin Qadim, and overcame his challenge, but Zomaros's rival is still at large, and that's kind of all referencing what was the raid called that was in the Mystic Forge? That's gonna bug me. I'm sure someone in chat will know, but they say now prepare to enter the ancient city of Adashim and learn what secrets lie buried by the centuries.
QED help.
Mithrite Gambit. Thank you. I knew it was. I knew it had like the MY, like kind of like Mystic Forge type thing, but I was like, what is it? But yeah, thank you. But that was kind of the events in Mithrite Gambit. I'm sure if you go on YouTube, there's a end cinematic that shows basically Qadim getting knocked into what was it, the Mystic Cauldron or something, like, and gets like superpowered and is like a shadow form that flies away, and apparently comes here.
Yeah. One of the things that when I think, I don't remember why, but I was writing about this at one point. One of the things I was saying maybe would be cool is if like he got branded somehow and like got more powers that way.
But when does this take place chronologically?
And that's the interesting thing, because I was also watching, I saw Wood and Potatoes thing, and he does reference that you do see branded enemies in here, which, I mean, they do talk, he does briefly mention if it does take place after living story events, that, I mean, we still have creatures of past elder dragons still roaming around, like it's so it could still take place after after the most recent events of the living story, but I don't think they give a exact date. But I think in the past they've gone basically chronologically, like they haven't been like.
Right. Well, like also just because spoiler alert, Aurene.
I think so far it's been
doesn't necessarily mean she inherited control over all of his minions. His minions could be still left out there just listless like the other minions of the dragons that we've killed.
Right. I'm going to assume that that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or because, well, actually, it's more like StarCraft Brood War that has me thinking about this, is that other entities that are powerful enough could have taken control of them.
Right. Yeah.
So there is that potentially. I don't know. My problem with the trailer is more that it was just kind of meh.
There
Like,
there isn't a
I-
lot going on in the trailer. I mean, like it kind of shows, I guess, some of the like the things you're gonna have to do in there, and like maybe the mobs you're gonna be fighting. But I think what really is interesting is this was an area in Guild Wars 1.
Right.
There's some interesting stuff that was left there, especially since they're saying in there in the blog post, now prepare to enter the ancient city of Adashim and learn what secrets lie buried by the centuries.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they're saying, like, they're given the definitive date, well, the definitive time frame of centuries. Granted, yes, that could be but it reminds me of in Guild Wars 1 when you're fighting oh geez, we fought him as the raid, or kind of as the raid boss thing. Well, not, I guess not, because he was resurrected. The Mersat guy. Oh God, I'm horrible right now. The
Wow.
Mersat guy.
Can't
Chad.
remember his name either.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Guy you're talking about.
The one who was the whole point of season 3.
Lazarus, thank you.
Thank you.
Lazarus.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know why my brain just went to Rurik, and I'm like, that's not right at all.
Possible spoiler for future random, like, I don't know. But no,
There's a
like
Mersat
in Guild
the
Wars,
whole time.
in Guild Wars 1, like I remember when we were defeating him and taking his powers away, and he was like, I'll get you guys even if it takes like generations or something. And it's like that's a very definitive thing, since at that point we knew there was gonna be a Guild Wars 2 that took 250 years later. It's like,
Right.
I wonder what's going to. So it's interesting that they're saying centuries when we at this point probably hit about 3 centuries or 2.5 or something, like
I think
250 years
2.5.
plus whatever. Yeah.
'Cause I
250 years
think, like,
plus like the
5 years
handful
have-
of,
Passed since the beginning of the game,
yeah.
roughly.
So I'm
I don't
rounded
know.
to the nearest 100.
See, I think my problem here is that I'm looking at this and I can't, like, as a person who doesn't know Guild Wars 1 stuff, so Adashim doesn't mean anything to me. Like the location doesn't mean anything. I haven't raided in a while. I haven't raided since Wing 3 came out.
So you're not even really in this story arc, it sounds like.
Right.
So
I
you're
haven't
not,
Yeah.
done this story arc. So my issue here is that, like, the trailer itself, while I didn't need the close up to see that there's an actual face on the branded Earth Elemental, I didn't need to see that because that's creepy as hell. The trailer itself is just kind of flat.
Yeah. Well, I wish they had shown something more dynamic, like not the whole
Right.
fight, but like clips of them fighting some of
Like
the bosses. and
something
stuff. So you
happening.
like
rather than just
these
auto
like
animation.
big abilities or something like that. That would make it more exciting in general.
And you could
you,
even
you
show
don't
the
you don't like
model.
that guy at the end swatting like mist flies? He's like, "Ugh, ugh."
That's
That's like me when I walk through a cobweb in the morning when you're going to work. It's like, where is it? Like,
I
Yeah.
think that's just an air Jin idle animation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that's even anything terribly special.
not 100% sure.
Oh yeah.
I don't let them get idle. I just take them out.
Might be a channeling animation because it looks like there's something going on around them, but the close up is it's so close up. that-
Yeah.
But like you're saying, you're not familiar with Guild Wars 1 lore, but it's like, it is like one of those things of why should you care? Let me see if I can change your mind from by explaining what took place in Guild Wars 1. Well, after you do a certain mission, like a couple missions, you can just go in here and it's basically a place protected by the Jinn. And that's the interesting thing is the key of Adashim isn't like an item or anything. It's literally an entity. It was a Jinn that basically allowed you to get in. So I'm wondering if this thing at the end is the key, and maybe it's a title, and this is what Kadim is trying to become. Like that might be my guess. Like I don't know if this is Kadim. It kind of looks it looks pretty similar to what you see at the last cutscene. And I'm definitely getting to it, Mofongo. Trust me. That's one of the other things of, but and it made me think about because Zalmaros and Kadim are rivals. I wonder if we're gonna find more information about maybe the origins of Zalmaros, because I forget where the book was, but it talks about Mayani meeting Zalmaros for the first time, where she's arguing, or Zomaros and 3 other Jinn, which I'm guessing one's going to be Kadim, were arguing about who's the most powerful element. And Mayani sides with Zomaros, and Zomaros escorts her out of the desert. I'm wondering if maybe we find out the 4 were arguing to maybe see who's the most powerful to maybe become the next key of Adashim or something along those lines. Like maybe we'll find some more history behind it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we're gonna find out like a story of like how Zomaros abandoned his people. Because we also see like, you know, like this was supposed to be protected, and that's why you had to go through the key of Adashim in Guild Wars 1 that was like protected by the magics of the Jinn. I wonder if which would be kind of weird and out of nowhere, that it's like, well, dragon magic can penetrate through that. It's like, okay, I guess that's a throwaway thing. Or maybe because there wasn't someone with that title of the key person, the forces could penetrate it, and maybe it's like we see that branded Jinn floating around. It's like, I wonder if it's like we maybe hear a story of maybe Zomaros betrayed his people, and maybe we'll have another attack on Lion Sword.
Not again.
I'm okay with Disney World getting blown up. I'm fine with that. I'll be right back. 'Cause my small furry son is yelling at me because it's his dinner time and I forgot to give him his food before the show. And if I don't now, he's going to sit here yelling at me for the entirety of the show. I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that's maybe the interesting aspect. And I'm kind of curious because you're seeing the like, it's like a branded beast type thing, like not the Char guy or not the Minotaur looking thing, but the one on 4 legs. Or I think that's the branded Char. The other one might be a Minotaur. I wonder if that's a readdressed model, the one you're seeing right now, chat. I wonder if that's a readdressed model, because one of the bosses you had to fight in the original one was this were these ether beasts that usually had an ability, and I don't think the boss that you fought did, but the normal ones, if you left them unattended, like if you're fighting multiple ones, they could resurrect their allies. And there have been so many times in Guild Wars 1 where I was fighting like maybe 4 of them, and you're fighting one, and then you're focusing on the other one. Another one's casting like their resurrect signet on the other, like on one of the dead ones, and then that one resurrects another one, and it's like, I've had it so many times where it's like I only have like 2 enemies left, and then I wasn't paying attention, and like all 5 enemies are back up, and I'm like, God, crap. Like,
yeah.
So I'm wondering if that might be a nod to that. I don't know. It's kind of a stretch that maybe it got corrupted or something like that, but they've always kind of had that purple hue to them, so that's why I was also wondering maybe it's yeah, from like what chat is saying, the other interesting thing is later on, what was the hero's name? Gorham, I want to say. I know it was like G something or other. Gork's the guy we're dealing with now. Goran. Okay, thank you. He's a hero that you meet him through the Nightfall story, but later on you can recruit him as a hero in Guild Wars 1 to run along with you. And usually you got like certain quests that were attached to their story. Well, when you have Goran, you can actually, I think it's like he finds a shiny rock, and you basically take it here, and all of a sudden the shiny rock hatches into a dragon serpent type thing. I think it's a sea spring serpent is like the, but they're usually found in Cantha. Yeah, because it shares the same look as like Kunavang, which is the Canthan one.
Cantha confirmed?
Oh, he's a given shiny rock by the Zunlai agent. But yeah, it's basically involves Gorn as the storyline. But the funny thing is, Gorn demands, or basically says, well, I want to name him Shiny. Which I'm wondering if in the blog post this is a hint, because the other things that are coming with the raid, if maybe you're like, I'm not a raider, I'll wait for, Wooden Potatoes or anyone else that's doing the raid or the story or the lore to talk about the raid lore that's coming out of it. And he's like, but there's nothing in it for me. Well, you'd be wrong. If you're just a open world PvEer, they're also having a PvE raid release event. They say Kadim's machinations are causing ripples outside the Mystic Forge, touching certain world bosses in Central Tyria with condensed ley energy from June 11th to June 25th. Defeat these powerful enemies to mine colorful crystal essences, bring essences to Skritt near the Mystic Forge to create shiny weapons, and then consult with the Skritt to learn how you can make your shiny weapons even shinier. But the way they title that is actually with the let me see, let's get shiny. Like, I wonder if that's like a kind of double play on it. Like, yeah, you're gonna like, let's get the weapons more shiny, but maybe some of the story in the raid is maybe find the remnants of shiny, or other things like that. Like start following this path of other dragons that can help take place of the mean ones that we're trying to deal with, kind of like Aurene. We did with Aurene. Which also, another slight interesting thing is, I think it was when Miss Right Gambit came out, they added a couple events in response to Kadim's like messing around with like the Mystic Forge stuff. But there was, I think, an event in wherever this is taking place. I forget the map. I always forget the map names. But outside of it, there is an event where you have to protect a shiny rock, like a rock that has like a magic in it. It's like, okay, it's in Vabi. It's in the, it's like right outside the guild. Well, not outside, right outside the guild hall, but in the same zone part. But yeah, it sounds a lot like maybe the rock that we were dealing with back in Guild Wars 1. So is this going to be another sea serpent dragon in there? Like, maybe it progresses the story, or so I don't know. It's another possibility of what could come out of this. And it's kind of interesting. Actually, that's maybe how they'll do it. Maybe that event, maybe that temporary hey Taz, he went to feed the pup, so he's popping in and out.
He's like, this show's stupid, I'm out.
He's like, I didn't play Guild Wars 1. I'm not interested in this trailer. I'll be back later. That's what he said. I tried to tell him all of the lore. But I'm wondering, because like they said, along with that PvE event, that's why they say do it before between June 11th and June 25th, is because they say this is when you can get the weapons and in the PvE open world and turn them into the shinier version. Because they did say the weapons will always be available through the Key of Adashim raid after the event has ended, which I'm definitely curious to hear your guys' thoughts on. Do you like that they're doing this? Like, the first 2 weeks, there's open world PvE content with like skins and whatnot, but afterwards, the only way to get them is through the raid.
I think it's cool to open it up to people outside of the raid for a limited time. Like, you don't want to make it for everybody all the time, because that dilutes the point of raiding, but giving people some chance to be able to get it is nice.
My thoughts would be more along the lines of, I kind of agree, but I would kind of be more along the lines of have it be able to access a limited availability, even outside of the event. Like, outside of the windows, you can only get like 2 or 3 of the skins and in perpetuity, but the rest of them you have to get inside. So
because you're maybe wondering, like, if someone comes late to the game, they're not even gonna be aware of those to be possibly enticed to go in.
Right. Now that,
but if you get 1 or 2, it's like, man, I'd like to get the shield version or the blah 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 version. Where do I get these?
Yeah. I suppose that kind of also contrasts with my previous statements on the show about liking the ability to miss content.
Right.
So
yeah, and like chat saying, kind of wave the carrot, tease people into maybe the raids.
Right. But at the same time, if like if you're trying to carrot people into the raids outside of, like you said, outside of these 2 weeks, like, they're not gonna know, unless the same way as they've been doing before, as they see people with the weapon skin.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where they got it. They see the weapon skin. Where did you get that? Oh, it's from the raid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm wondering if during the event because maybe we're gonna see the more information in the raid on how to get the with Shiny the dragon from Guild Wars 1. But like I said, they had that event for during Miss Ray Gambit about this magical rock that you have to protect, which sounds a lot like the events you had to do in Guild Wars 1. I'm wondering if that maybe you have to do that, and maybe they add another event that progresses it. Like, oh, there's a little dragon, and that's how you maybe get it in the open world, and then maybe they'll remove that event or do something with it after the 2 weeks, and then you can still do it in the raid type thing, possibly. I don't know. Is maybe I would think how they would go. It's just interesting that they're saying make it shiny, and literally the dragon in Guild Wars 1 that was in that area was named Shiny. So
did the Skritt exist in Guild Wars 1?
Oh my god. I don't think we ever saw one, but I think it was kind of like along the lines of the same with and yes, you blew my mind, Mofongo. I think it's along the same lines as like the crate and stuff, where the Asuran got driven up because the Skritt got driven up by like the rumblings of the earth and
So
Tyria.
what if it's
but
possible?
they weren't never a visible character in
So what if it's possible that the Skritt's obsession with Shiny is because they're actually the dragon minions of Shiny?
Nah.
I have to start raiding.
But that's my only take on that. That's the thing I've been thinking since you said, oh yeah, and he wanted to name the dragon Shiny, and I'm just like,
it would be kind of funny if either it's that, or for some reason the Skritt like refer to Goran as like a god or something, because he was like a big muscly kind of like dumb guy. So I'm wondering if they like see this muscly thing and be like, you know, he loves Shiny, like he's like their god. Like there's some kind of, I wonder, is there a statue of Goran somewhere? And I wonder if it like stayed existing and the Skritt came across it. And but yeah, I'm wondering, and I think a lot of people are wondering, is this maybe gonna lead to thinking about Cantha type stuff for maybe season 5, or dealing with whatever's in the way, like a deep sea dragon to get to Cantha. And like Chad said, all we know about the Bubbles, who, you know, the deep sea dragon, is it begins with an S, which if it is Shiny, holy crap, I didn't even make that connection. That oh yeah, we could start learning about it in the raid, and it carries into.
Yeah, they did confirm that the deep sea dragon's name does start with an S a long while ago.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why I'm like wondering. I was like, oh yeah, that could. Yeah, and like Mofongo was saying, like it's a salt spray dragon species from Cantha. If you look up Shiny on the Guild Wars 1 wiki, it literally shares the same image as Kunavang, which was kind of like the dragon you always saw in Guild Wars 1 factions. It's
interesting.
Basically a serpent like. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of we start to find like information about Shiny here, and we find out Shiny is Bubbles, that hopefully give us more information to try to deal with it and
put it back to sleep. Sing it a lullaby.
Or going once again into its mind and separating it from the badness. I don't know. Whatever we were trying to do before.
Well, I don't think Shiny is like all corrupted the way Kraukatork was.
I don't like, we've talked previously about like species of dragons, and it's just like, what is an elder dragon really? Like, are they actual like animal dragons, or are they just like,
apparently they're regular dragons that have absorbed so much magic that they've become more than that.
So that's the question, is it possible for just any dragon species in Tyria to do this? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the stuff pop up. I don't think, and that's the thing, is like with the way the raids have been, I don't think it'll be anything like that huge, because the huge plot points
right
aren't really in the raids.
Yeah, The raids just like fill in extra information, basically.
Yeah, like because what I had experience with was Wing 1, and Wing 1 was really just talking about what the White Mantle were doing and where they were gathering the Bloodstone from.
Right.
So that wasn't really the main thrust of the plot, but it certainly filled in a lot of holes. But I don't know if we're gonna get, like, I don't know if they've changed their idea for that or what.
I'm like combining like what you're talking about and like with like what Mafongas and stuff is saying of like, you know, I do remember Shiny could speak in Guild Wars 1, and I was like, I swear it was very simple. And then I looked it up real quick, and the dialogue that you get is, Gorin is my mommy, I'm going to live in a hidden city, which might be this. Or, Gorin is my mommy, I'm hungry, feed me, Gorin. Which, once again, it's that very simple thing, like, and I'm trying to think of like, yeah, what if the Skritt are the dragon minions of, like, it sounds like a very Skritt dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
And I mean, we kind of saw in Mythray Gambit, like the Skritt liked collecting all the stuff and putting it into piles. Maybe Zomeros was using them for his benefit. Like,
Maybe.
There are all the treasure Skritt do seem to exhibit strange magical capabilities that Skritt usually don't have. So,
but yeah, that's. I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens with the story and the raid. But yeah, and ultimately I do like this idea of the first 2 weeks or whatever they want to do for allotment of time is protecting or having the event where you can maybe get, because these don't sound like they're going to be like raid specific skins that you normally see on the other raid wings. These seem like in addition to. So granted, I don't know either way, but it definitely sounds like it, and I would hope so. Is because I don't want people saying like, oh, the first 2 weeks, anyone can get them, blah blah blah. They're not special anymore. But it just makes in the long run raids that little bit more like special for people. It'd be almost like if they added to like the high tier fractal, because it wouldn't really make sense if it was raids, but the jetpack that came from what was it, the Living Story stuff back in the day with the the Aether Blade stuff. So the Aether Blade backpack or something, basically the jetpack looking thing. Well, that too, yeah. I was talking about the one that's like literally the jetpack that it was like a drop, like a low chance drop.
The Molten Alliance one.
That's it, yeah. Okay. So I don't mind that, because like you're saying, it still opens the option for people to eventually get it if they really, really, really want it. But if you're there at when it first goes up for the first 2 weeks, so it does give that Living Story mentality of like, I used to say why I liked the Living Story was it was their version of subscriptions. It was keeping butts in seats. It's like, because you could miss something, where you can miss something here, but not really. It's just now harder to get. But so it's a furry dragon. Doesn't look too furry to me.
I mean, the model might change because a lot of models have changed a fair bit.
I would imagine they'd probably keep it somewhat serpent-like, unless it does go into Elder Dragon form and it's completely different. Like, I mean, we've seen with the other ones as they're transforming, they
level up,
grossly change.
Well, I mean, changing, but they keep like some part of themselves. Like you can see the similarities.
Yeah, chat. We were talking about Shiny a little bit. We were talking about what possibly you might run into with the new raid wing, story wise, or since they, like Jim said, they really didn't show too much.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like the department, the team that makes the Living Story cinematics and the team that makes the raid cinematics, or trailers, I should say.
Yeah.
I did have a second point to my, me not being super hyped for this is like, since I don't raid, just the fact that a raid is being announced doesn't get me hyped. Like, I'm happy for the people who do raid. It's great. But like
But you're not excited.
this doesn't get me as a non-raider to want to raid.
Yeah.
And yeah, while I'm still at that point, like, and because I fully understand, I just don't have the raid mentality anymore. I just don't want to have that definitive kind of, because you know, I know people say you can find a group where, you know, play the way you want. I don't have time to find those people. Like,
yeah.
It's just,
a lot
and
of
that's just
energy.
me. Yeah, that's just me. And but yeah, if you find that group, because I when we tried raiding when it first started out, I liked playing with our group of people. Like I liked having Robot there with, you know, and I know some people chatted with us and was like, because I think a couple times he ran like minions, and I'm like, well, if it, you know, we're getting one shot instantly, so it's not like, okay guys, we need to figure something out. Like
Right.
we didn't have the meta builds. I don't think really some of us didn't. I mean, I think some of us did because we played that way, but you know, it's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer playing with my friends. That's why I like the dungeon things where it's like, and I come from that, you know, past games where it's like you could never find a tank or a healer. It's like, that's why I was a little disappointed when raids kind of shifted back to that. It's like,
Right.
But yeah, but like I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see where the story goes if it leads into there. If it does go to Cantha, I'm curious because a lot of people. Well, a lot of people are saying like, why are we keep going back to? Well, first they're saying human-centric places, but why do we keep covering the places that we've already covered?
Right.
Which maybe it's because that's probably the easiest for them in the sense of they already have stuff to draw on. Not saying,
Right.
oh, they're just gonna Control C, Control V all the ass. Like I know they're not gonna do that.
Well, that and because like not only that, it gives you easy build, like you said, it's easy building blocks.
Yeah.
And Baron's right. Nostalgia does sell, but at the same time, like we already had like what Deo, you said that the basically the core of prophecies was the fact that everything we were trying to do is actually screwing stuff up more. Well, it lets them clear up the fallout of what we did 250 years ago.
Right. I was gonna say, like, people enjoy going back and seeing how things changed over time and stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest things I liked when we were going to Guild Wars 2. It was like going underwater to see some of like the old like Draknar's forge, like the runes, and it's like, oh my god, I was making my armor here, and now it's all underwater. Or it's like I was making my armor here, or I was trying to get a group for this thing right here, and now there's a rich platinum node here. It's like ting 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 ting. So
yeah, Bjorn. Plot twist: humans are the bad guys. I don't think it's so much of a twist.
no,
There's one at this point.
no.
But and I cannot fault them wanting to go to Cantha. Like, okay, cynically, yes, it would sell. They'd make money off of it. I don't think that's why they would go to it in the first place, especially since they seem to have their story plotted out way in advance. So if we ended up going to Cantha in this next season, they've had it planned for a while, probably pre-layoffs. So it's not got anything to do with like some kind of snap decision to try and make more money suddenly. But wanting to go back to places, I mean, shit, World of Warcraft did that for its first 2 expansions, and no one complained to them about it. It's just like, okay, Warcraft 3, literally retreading the steps into Outland and then into the Northrend. So like no one complained about that, and they're tying up loose threads there. And then even Cataclysm was tying up loose threads.
Well, I was gonna say the funny thing with that isn't then they go back, because like you're saying with Baron Crusades, that was following up the old Warcraft games going there and stuff. But wasn't one of the most recent ones with, what is it, the Dragon Hunter, or no, that's Guild Wars 1 or Guild Wars 2, the Demon Hunter class. Isn't the story of that expansion them going back to Outlands in some form?
It's
okay.
The Demon Hunter intro is rooted in the timeline of Burning Crusade,
Right.
from what Arlie explained.
Like, yeah, the events when you make one of those classes, the events in the beginning happen concentric with when the players were attacking his stronghold. So like it's going back to BC again, for that and pulling out and all of that.
And it just it makes it so it's kind of like when you read a book and then you jump like 2/3 of the way into the book, you jump to another character's plotline, they talk about a thing that they were doing, and then there's a small little snippet of something that didn't make sense earlier on in the book, and then you read this bit from this character 2/3 in, and you're just like, oh, that's why that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
And yeah, I
Which-
agree. I would like to see an expansion in the sense of the expansion on the lore behind some of the other races. Like I still
don't
think it would be
disagree with
crazy if like all of a sudden they were like the Asuran are returning to the depths, and like literally they're like like their expansion's like, you know how we only do a little maps here? Every map that is currently in the game has an underneath like separate like under, you know, depth zone type thing, which would kind of make sense because that was kind of the whole thing with Eye of the North. But and like starting to learn more about the Asuran, and I'm sure if any dev, Guild Wars 2 dev is like, did he just like literally say we're gonna make 40 zones for one expansion and probably just had a heart attack? I do apologize.
That would be amazing. Just remake the entire game for one expansion.
Not an entire game, just, you know, a little bit lower.
well, the problem with the Norn is we haven't really done anything in the north. So honestly, any content that expands northward is going to involve the Norn, but we haven't gone there yet.
Right.
So that's
Like-
that's why.
Yeah, we did do the little thing with Jormag, but it was quick.
Like
Yeah, like teased us with Jormag and
well, that's like I thought we were gonna have to stop Bram from killing Jormag because clearly he has a weapon that can kill Jormag.
Right. I expected to go more into detail with that. Like, but I understand that they had a certain amount of story to get through by the end, so they can only spend so much time in various areas. But
Well, that and like they kind of used the whole thing of like, okay, so now you're telling me we can't kill the dragons, and that was kind of a widening of the rift between the commander and Bram, and then that, you know, made the reconciliation a lot more powerful. So that was kind
Right.
of the whole point of that. But it kind of, I don't want to say robbed, but or denied, because that implies some kind of Beorn, don't. Deo,
first off, you're very wrong on
Deo, there's
the
a
Norn
kappa
side.
at the end of that. It's sarcasm. Stop seeing red.
I'm
Just take
sorry.
a deep
I'm
breath.
already enraged by seeing that. I didn't even get to the Kappa.
But it's just, yeah, we kind of, I guess we did kind of get denied more expansion on the Norn because we didn't have to go get to Jormag. Like, because
Right.
we haven't done anything with Jormag, we haven't done anything with the Norn. So
Oh, and Chad is saying they have kept the effects on the bow to show that his bow is still imbued with the magic that we had to acquire for it. So won't that be great? He accidentally kills Jormag. He's like, oh, stray arrow.
Oops, sorry. My bad.
Wouldn't that be great if after we did all the stuff, the events leading up to that, and we're all standing there panning away into that skylight, looking into the sky of the beautiful. He's like,
He's
oh,
like,
by
oh,
the
shoot,
way,
guys, sorry.
yeah, he's like, by the way, I was looking for the right time to say this, but I accidentally killed Jormag. It's like, wait, what?
but yeah, wow, we did a pretty good job segueing off of the story there.
But yeah, I know that's been some people's biggest complaints is like, it seems like it's a lot of very human stuff, which I'm a little bit impressed by Heart of Thorns in that sense of, and I mean, it kind of made sense because of the whole leading up with the Sylvari, but that was still very much a human area in Guild Wars 1, basically because all we had were humans and stuff, but
Right.
it was about, you know, it was forefront with Sylvari, then a little bit of sprinkling of Asuran, but it still did have that background of human because it's like, oh, here was an old human civilization that's been just taken over.
Right.
But yeah, it's really interested in seeing a redrawn map of all the All and the Eternal Alchemy. Yeah, that's the one thing I would hope need to start addressing, or and, you know, it depends on how long they're. I don't want to make it sound horrible, but stretching it out because I think that's what would become more clear is the all, which for people that don't know, I know Ogden talks about it a little bit. It's basically, and they talk how the universe functions, and and Ogden does talk about how every race kind of has a piece of the puzzle. And I think we saw a little bit of that with the Scarlet Visions and stuff from a Sylvari perspective. I don't know. I guess the humans, it kind of seems like the gods might be playing into that. The Asuran talk about the eternal alchemy, but we haven't really seen any physical manifestations of that kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe seeing more of that stuff, but it would help once we get into kind of more Char and Norn culture to see it. It'd probably feel smoother instead of like, oh, we visited Newt White Bear and he's like, let me tell you about this, Rand. It's like, wait, what?
The point Bjorn is making is that apparently raiders think this is the last raid wing.
What? Why?
Like, why would this be the last raid wing?
Right.
I mean, if it's successful, I wouldn't see why not. I mean,
I was gonna say they haven't said anything about stopping raids, so why would they?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you've seen somewhere where a dev at least on the team or someone that's higher up making the decisions has said that, please let us know. But I have not heard.
Unless we can get firsthand knowledge of that, then there's just
chat
talk in
saying
the chat.
Teapot had a stream where there was talk of a dev saying it was. Oh
yeah,
oh.
I'd want to see that because I have.
Yeah.
As far as I know, none of them have said that.
Yeah, we'd need some kind of link to some kind of source on that, because chatter in a Twitch chat just doesn't matter whose Twitch chat it is, but just talking in a Twitch chat without a link, that's really not something we can report on, honestly.
But
I was gonna say something. Oh, so you guys were talking about how every race has their own version of the eternal alchemy and like how things work. So one of the things that I wish they had capitalized more on in the story when we went into Omed's machine, I wish what we saw was a little bit different depending on what race you were. Like that would have been a great way to reinforce that kind of idea.
But what if I use the Skritt tonic for it? What do I see then? Do I see bubbles? Because we now know
Norn, you just look like a Skritt.
Because we now know that the thing that we just made up here, that Shiny is the undersea dragon confirmed in Skritt or the dragon minions, which would be very weird since usually they reminisce in the element they are. Skritt don't really seem very aquatic.
Hey, maybe anyway. they're just it's a big long con. They don't want you to figure out the connection.
Yeah, and there's a discussion going on in chat about 200 about the amount of time in between the raid wings. I mean, that's World of Warcraft, man. Like that's basically I don't know a single game.
Well, I think they've gotten better with it, but that was like World of Warcraft during the dark days, like where they were just like, yeah, you'll figure something out.
I mean, it's hard to say like what's been going on in the background and why it took so long on it, but like you have to imagine like some of the unannounced projects they were working on and whatever probably had an effect and like all of that kind of stuff. So
I don't know. Well, the problem is, Mafanga or Bayorn, I think actually rating it would be harder to design than WVW.
Yeah.
Because you have to script it and you have to tune it. And WVW is like something like WVW, it's kind of hard to tune something exactly on the first pass. Like you kind of just have to let it go and then
raid is more formula like in linear, like you go in, you fight things in a specific, maybe a small variety of ways, but it's a limited number of ways that you can fight the thing and win. And
well, it's because they get to control one side of the fight. Basically, in World War I PvP, they can design the environment. They can't really be like, oh, hey, while you're on top of this wall, Ranger, you can't use these skills. It's like, wait, what? Like that would be a weird PvP game mode or War v World game mode. So it's probably limiting in that sense. But yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and even the vertical progression doesn't save it a lot. And honestly, Guild Wars 2, I think we were talking about class balance a lot earlier. I think this is before we even went live. If your team has a raid on farm, play different stuff. Like change your entire raid comp. Do an all necromancer run.
Change it up a bit to make it interesting.
Like honestly, you have a lot more leeway to do that in Guild Wars 2 than you do in something like World of Warcraft, which is a lot more formulaic.
Wait, you're suggesting raiders play it for fun? You're silly.
Why else would you play a game?
I don't know if I would agree with the skeleton crew on raids. Maybe they had one, but nobody knows how many they have working on it now. Like they could have moved when they did recent restructuring of the teams. Like we have no idea how many people are working at it on this point. Like I would say the time between this one and the next one would probably be more telling than anything else.
They restructured the entire company recently, not just team. Yeah, they shifted a lot of things around. I know that's what, wasn't it Mike Z that was kind of saying that during that one letter during the layoffs and stuff. That
right after that, his big announcement is that they were restructuring stuff, and he kind of gave a top level view of what's on the docket. Like that was the letter that he announced the build templates are on the radar.
Right. But they are working on it.
Yeah, that it
though
is
I would still argue, and I don't know the magical number because I'm not in that, I'm not in that field or anything like that. But the one thing you got to worry about is, like you're saying, 3 to 4 people. Hopefully, we have more people thrown at it. Throwing more people at a situation doesn't always make a product better.
No.
Right.
And
it honestly, also just depends. Like I think you need like a narrative person at least to work on how the story within it works and where it fits in. You need an encounter designer to like design how those fights work ideally, and you need a programmer to put it in the game and make it work. Like
and then you need the assets.
Yeah.
And even like you're saying, even when they're referring to the skeleton crew, I remember them talking about that, of a skeleton crew of like a 3 or 4 people. I think that's like 3 or 4 dedicated people, because like Arlie and Malthanis are saying, then they probably pass it to the art person, that they're probably not just working on raid art or it's it goes through all the other people people in for it.
The thing I'm wondering about is, I wonder if they still have the player testing raids program. I don't know if that's still a thing.
I haven't heard much from that, unless they're finally cracking down on it, because that usually was that issue of things leaking and like manipulation. Which, if that's the case, good. But yeah, like if it's still going and they're cracking down on people not manipulating things,
right? And like, my guess just from other things is I don't think there really is, or if it is, they have a very small team of players testing that, which I think more than anything else, that would slow down the release of raids, because if you don't have enough people testing these things that often, it's hard to get everything right about, like, does it feel good? Is it a good fight? Is it interesting? All of those pieces, not even taking account the balancing of the fight.
But the problem there, Bjorn, is having that one's the story writer, the artists, the balance and encounter designers, that's dedicating staff to a minority portion of the game.
Mm-hmm.
This idea that they have a skeleton crew of 3 to 4 people dedicated to raiding, honestly, that's a lot of people to dedicate to raiding in Guild Wars 2, when they literally stated at the outset that yes, we are designing raids. We know it's a niche thing for Guild Wars 2, and we're okay with that. So 3 or 4 dedicated people plus others.
A lot of money to be putting into something a small portion of your population will ever see.
Right.
But
and
guys,
the other
it worked
thing
out so well for WildStar. Oh.
WildStar had a lot of other problems, but the problem is too that raids, since Guild Wars 2 is such a narratively driven game, the raids also have to fit with what's going on in the story. They either have to be a B plot like Raid Wing 123 was, or a bridge plot, which is what I think we're basically assuming
Right.
Mythrite Gambit into the Key of Autosem is.
And
So
then even got to be careful about, like you're saying, a B plot, because you're saying Wing 1, 2, and 3. I would still argue, like, because it was basically the rise of the Mersad again. I'm like, that's a pretty big deal. I know you probably wanted to come out guns a-blazing for Guild Wars, like the first set of raid, but I'm like, that's kind of an important thing.
It is an important thing, but it's still technically a B plot, because what they did is not as important as the fact that they are back.
Right.
Like, that's why I still say it's a B plot. It's like, I'm not, when I'm saying B plot, I mean it's like at 99% of plot, where the A plot is.
And that's why I said it kind of like skirt that line where I'm like, ooh, I don't know how I feel. Like, it's kind of.
You also, but to me,
but I think they did get better with the other ones where it was kind of like.
I have to look into the story there, but
like, I just had a funny thought. But go ahead and finish your
thought. For me, it didn't hit that hard for the first raid series because I wasn't invested in Guild Wars 1. So that there is one of the reasons why I call it a B plot.
Right.
Like it's like a B plus plot.
A B plus. Well, and I thought it was an A- plot.
My funny thought was, what if when we go to this raid, we find Kaz and Marjorie there, and that's where they were. They got trapped there somehow, and that's why we haven't heard from them. That would be fun.
Well, though, don't we hear like side things of they were helping villagers, unless that was just false information brought in? But I like that idea that they were like somehow trapped there. And
yeah, I don't know.
But I thought like there was like side dialogue of people going, "Oh yeah, they're in the other room, aka they're helping people." It's like, oh okay, like.
Bafongo does bring up a good point. Is technically it is a B plot because the A plot was us trying to get rid of Mordremoth.
Right.
Well, but that's also the problem. Is do you count the season portion part of the, because that also bleeds in. Actually, we're really diverging away from the actual news stuff.
This is walk.
This is
off to the side.
This is post-show content. We'll come back to this. We'll make a note of it.
For all the people that are waiting here, when we were talking about the PvE raid release event and the we were saying how there's certain world bosses affect in Central Tier, so you don't need the actual expansions or anything like that.
It's literally the world boss train.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they do say it's the affected world bosses are Shadow Behemoth, Svanir Shaman, Fire Elemental, the Great Jungle Worm, the Shatterer, the one in Central Tyria. I guess we have to make sure about that now. Olgoth, the Inquest Golem Mark II, Claw of Jormag, Tida Covington, the Mega Destroyer, the Karka Queen, Tequaddle, and also Triple Trouble. So those ones, if you go and do those, they give you credit towards these weapons that you can eventually make shinier. But like I said, once the 25th happens, apparently the only way you'll be able to get them is through that raid. But,
right. It's cool though.
But yeah.
It's both. We already came to the conclusion that Skritt are minions of dragons.
Yeah, they're apparently the deep sea dragon who is shiny, who we'll find out in the raid wing. We're calling it now.
Yeah. We solved the whole story.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 narrative team, just, let us know next time when you want us to help you with the story, because look, we just kind of...
Yep, we took care of it all for you.
Yep. Just please, in an unmarked package, just mail me a set of legendaries, and we'll be good. But yeah, so it's kind of, I'm a little worried. I guess we can talk about it with the next thing we talked about last week, the meta event rush that is ending Tuesday. Which, if you watched last week, we talked about as you basically do these eligible world bosses, which some of them are core Tyria, some of them are also Path of Fire, and I believe Heart of Thorn. Yeah, Heart of Thorns ones. And granted, for those ones you will need those particular expansions.
Right.
But as the community does more and more, there's gonna be tiers of rewards, and as long as you kill one of the ones that they've listed, you are eligible for these tiers. But already the community has hit tier 5, which
Oh wow.
tier 5, which throughout the whole thing it was like celebration boosters, amounts of karma, like little things here and there. But tier 5 had, once again, more heroes banners, celebration boosters, thimbles of liquid karma, but also an endless bonus box tonic. And you're probably like, what in the world is that? So people have already gotten it, but like I said, before Tuesday, if you want to get it, you just basically have to do any of the lists, which I can ram them off real quick. Central Tyria, so if you just have the base game, Cathedral of Glorious Victory, which is defeat the risen priestess Balthazar. The Cathedral of Zephyrs, which is defeat the possessed statue of Duena. Cathedral of Eternal Radiance, kill the corrupted high priestess. Temple of Melandru, defeat the packed interrupter device while it charges to cleanse the temple. Temple of Grenth, cover Keeper Jones' dead run as he performs the ritual. And
Right.
Gates of Ara. So basically the god kind of events there. Go ahead. I saw you
I
raising
do
your
have a
hand.
question, because all of the ore events are all the temple events.
Yeah.
Did they account for fail state?
Mhm.
I
The
did hear
defense
people say
events count.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure people said defending does count.
Okay.
Okay, Chad is confirming that. I was
Yes,
gonna say
that
I'm
was
pretty
something-
sure I heard people saying the defense once counted for once.
'Cause that's something
Unlike
I
when
was
they were
talking about
saying
last
like,
week.
oh yeah, I was like, unlike they were saying that during like, oh yeah, the legendary one has the defense thing. It's like it doesn't work. Oh crap, we gotta fix that. So that's always been that sticking point. So
Right.
sorry if anybody from Arena's watching this, it has happened in the past that the defense thing hasn't worked, but finally whatever you did worked. Keep doing it that way.
They overlooked it a lot, and to be fair, I can only imagine that the release code is a little spaghettified. The only reason I brought it up is just like, hey guys, make sure you catch that hook on the defense events, because fail state farming is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah,
no
so-
dig on ArenaNet.
And for Ascalon, the Draken Cinderspire, defeat the Fire Shaman and his minions. Maguma Waste, the Mordrim Vinewrath, defeat the Mordrim Vinewrath. Heart of Maguma, which once again requires Heart of Thorns. The Chak Garant and the Mouth of Mordremoth count towards it. The Crystal Desert, which requires POF. Serpent's Ire, the Maws of Torment, and the Path to Ascension. Oh, and Casino Blitz. All count towards this eligibility. So, like I said, if you do one of those before Tuesday, or keep doing some more, you get some nice loot, because I think special chests do drop off them additional chests, right? Or was that the previous one? Because
I think that was the previous one.
okay, I was just gonna say, because participate in specific meta events to earn bonus boxes of goods.
Oh.
So
It's the same.
Nice.
It's the same as the World Boss Rush from the last.
okay.
Cool.
And so, yeah, you can pick those up. And here's some pictures of the tonic, which is interesting. Depending on how you if you have your weapon sheathed or unsheathed, it determines if the chest on that it turns you into, the box will be open or closed. Like
That's
so
awesome.
that was a nice little touch.
Can you sheath and unsheath your weapon while you're at the box and have it open and closed?
I think so. I'm
Have to
pretty
test
sure
it.
that's what people were saying. But yeah,
I want.
That's
this-
amazing.
I want this to be a combat tonic.
okay. Chad is saying yes. Oh my god, yes.
For the attack animation to just be.
The chest opens and a fireball shoots out of it. Oh, Arena, please do this.
Yeah.
Puts mimics in, but it's in a tonic form, so people can be the mimic.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be amazing. But yeah, so definitely make sure to do that before Tuesday so you can get this pretty cool tonic. I just want to see a bunch of chests like in like AFKing and like Lion's Arch.
Right.
Like this is how you have to AFK now in games in the game.
Like people clipping into the vault in
Yes.
in the Black Lion Trading Company, and they just see chests piling up.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's because I put my microphone up, Dale.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say.
I forget that because I usually don't use this.
But yeah, so definitely check that out. Like I said, before Tuesday. But my question was, like, I know we have like the current events that are kind of like the unique, like little interesting events happening around here. It's just these like kind of scheduled events that they're putting blog posts out for. But the one before this was a world boss rush thing. This one's a world boss one, and the one that's coming out for the raid is a world boss. I'm like, do they have any other ideas, or is this like how it's always going to be if there's a kind of quick go to?
I mean,
like
this kind of thing, these are some of the most visible. Like the original world boss train is one of the most visible farm trains in Guild Wars 2 that is available to everyone.
Bring back the Queensdale champ train. No, I'm kidding.
Oh God, I'm gonna go kill that troll by myself every single time it spawns just to screw with people. But like Dungeon Rush, yeah, no, I'd be cool with that. I think this is more them testing things with stuff that they know people are gonna do.
Ouch!
So,
pour one out for dungeons.
Yeah. Well, no, like honestly, this is the kind of thing they can use to get people into events, like getting people back into ore. Like honestly, I kind of wish they would have actually turned up the enemy density. The enemy density to release levels for this event.
I was just gonna say ANET. Blizzard likes to do like the trolley things, like when other MMOs bring out their thing. When they bring out WoW Classic, just make a little update called Ore Classic and turn up the risen spawn rate. That'd be hilarious. Just be like, Ore Classic, guys.
That would be hilarious. I would love it, and I would go down to ore because everything about my Guardian's burn build involves having lots and lots of targets to fight and seeing lots and lots of burn ticks, and that makes me happy. But I mean, I think are you talking about like putting the meta events on a set timer, Lemon? That's what I'm assuming you're talking about.
Well, isn't it still like a remnant of the not upscaling, downscaling, the overflow, like, and how it used to be multiple servers? I thought that was the issue because it was kind of like how Vine Wrath kind of thing was, where it's dependent on how people do
how they
events. Like, it's not, it's not necessarily like, okay, on clockwork, like this now spawns. Like, so maybe it's based off that, but Vine Wrath kind of works okay, and well, actually, it kind of works the same way as the
Vine
temples
Wrath does
is, I
have
think.
a hard timer after you unlock the Vine Wrath.
Well, but I mean, you literally go to the LFG and see we're on this portion of it, and like people will hop to those ones, like so it works kind of like the temples, and so I think it runs the same style, which it definitely does have downsides of it's hard to pinpoint it, like I think what chat's getting at. But yeah, so I don't know. I just was thinking that I was like, man, every event that we've had that's like PvE, like kind of like in the sense of like similar to how like World v World, they've had like the what was it, the golem rush thing, and like they did like, you know, the no down state thing. It's like they had like slight little changes to it, whereas we're just like, just give them world bosses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, this is their first run of doing the PvE week events. Like they've been doing these in WW for a while now, so I can't blame them for doing the easy events to set them up. And I didn't know that, Bjorn. I thought Dragonfall was on a timer to reset, so that actually makes me feel better about Dragonfall. So eventually, if you get enough people into a map, it'll eventually push into a final meta, and I like that. But
yeah. So, any other thoughts on the meta event rush or the chest tonic?
It's cool.
I like the chest tonic. I need to go do some of the meta events so I can get that.
Yes.
Well, you won't have, if you do that, you wouldn't have to fight over the tonic. But if you want some of the next rewards that we're going to talk about, you will have to fight over it. Because PvP League Season 17 is starting next week as well with new titles. They put out a blog post letting us know Season 17 starts June 11th to August 5th. And the new titles that will be available this season: first place will receive God or Goddess of the Arena. Second place will receive Demigod or Demigoddess of the Arena. Third place, King or Queen of the Arena. 4th through 10th place will receive Prince or Princess of the Arena. 11th through 25th place receive Duke or Duchess of the Arena. And 26th to 100th place receive Baron or Baroness of the Arena. And 101st to 250th place receive Knight or Dame of the Arena.
If only I could get to the Baroness rank, because then I could run around and be like, I'm the Baroness
Of the Arena.
No, just
And that's when they go.
Baroness.
And that's when they go. You're not in the arena anymore. You're an open world. We can't hit you.
I'll just be like, I'm the Baroness, whatever.
I still have
I
still have zero interest in these titles.
Yeah, it's. I think we talked about this when they were thinking of different titles and stuff, and it's just. Yeah, it's something that you really don't seem like. I see Chad talk about Guam, which was the Guild Wars 1 kind of big, basically the meta title of like everything Guild Wars 1. But it's like, how often do you see someone with their title? Like when you're like, you look at their title when you're seeing someone run around.
It's not often that you actually look at someone's title. Yeah. Like I honestly, and
I don't even know what title I have on any of my characters.
like these titles,
I set them on like way early on, and yeah, I have no clue anymore.
These titles are for the top 250 people in PvP in ranks.
Right. So most people will never get there.
This is their unique reward. And I don't know if this, like, I legitimately have not played PvP in forever. Mostly because I think I got kind of burnt out on it. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not going to do that again before I jump back into it. But I just can't comprehend how
they should do like unique mount skins for PvP rewards.
I don't think they do mount skins because mount skins can be sold.
I'll say, well,
no, you don't have to make them sellable.
Yeah, but just unlock on their account or something.
Well, no, that's not what I mean. Is like mount skins are a monetization thing.
Oh,
classic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what's that? The PvE market's going insane. What's that?
Honestly, if mount skins were available via PvP, you would get a lot of PvE players in. Like, I honestly think that that's the biggest thing, is you need something unique that is fashion wars in PvP that people will actually come in to get, and you need to keep renewing it. The Ascension,
like every season, have different skins.
Maybe not every season, but every like 3 to 4 seasons, you swap out the weapons that are available. Like I did my whole rant on this. I'm not going to go over it again for the weapon ticket thing. But like, I thought the Ascension was going to be switched out. Like the model of these, like, oh, so you got the first Ascension. I didn't get it until I got the third Ascension. I thought that was going to be a thing.
Yeah, I was really depressed that they didn't do that, because that was such an obvious way to incentivize it.
It's kind of interesting that you're talking like about that. And before, when I say these two particular words, chat, you're gonna have to give me a second to explain, because I know it'll trigger a lot of people. But yeah, your guys are talking about a reward structure that would switch over after X amount of seasons. What if they introduced a battle pass type system, but maybe in the vein of like how like Warframe kind of introduced one as an avenue just for the rewards? Like, you don't buy into it. Like, I mean, granted, if they wanted to go that route, I wouldn't be a wholehearted fan on it. It depends on what cosmetics you could get for free and what you couldn't, first thing. But Warframe took the stance of, we just kind of want to use it as a method to distribute rewards.
Well, they
So
already
it
have
has no buy. Well, I'm
That's
just saying
the-
it has
the
no
pip
buy-in,
reward.
but
That's
yeah,
the pip
and-
track. The pip
Yeah,
track
that's-
is effectively a non-buy-in battle pass, but the only problem is there's nothing unique out of it. It's gold and tickets to buy armor that you have to do the stupid crafting grandmaster marks to get in the first place if you want ascended as opposed to the skin. And then they have the obsidian weapons, but the obsidian weapons aren't unique to PvP.
well, and that's what I'm saying is, hopefully, maybe like you said, they use maybe the system they already have in place, that it just is like, for these next, I don't know how, they can always play with the numbers, the time frame, like if they want to do it per season, or if they want to be like for the next 3 PvP seasons, you can work towards this, for better or worse, battle pass type thing, that you can eventually unlock that mount skin or that thing. So if you're a pro player, you'll hit it faster, but because it would feel that kind of crummy thing for a PvE player to get in there, because like you said, if more than likely PvE players are going to go in for the reward, they're not going to hit the top 250.
Right.
No, they're not.
It's like, so they're probably they might try it the first time and go, I'm going to be nowhere near this. I'm not going to waste my time coming back. Like, they'll have people there for one season.
Yeah. Tying stuff to the top 250, especially if they're still having a problem with the win trading stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still an issue, but if they still have a problem with that, then even then these titles don't mean anything.
True.
Well, and Baron, I get that, but at the same time, there is no solid, repeating, constantly available, renewing reward that is available in PvP to pull. There's no breadcrumb. Let me put it that way. There's nothing that pulls people in to PvP from another game mode other than, here is PvP. And that's what I talk about, of having unique rewards solely to PvP. I realize that you don't want to just get PvEers in who will slog through for the reward and complain about it the whole time, like people probably did in order to get their war claw and then they left. But those
people actually interested to try it.
Right. You get people in with the promise of the reward, they realize they like it, and then they stay, and then you bolster the community. And you're going to have still some attrition, just people burning out, people moving to other games, stuff like that, which is why you need to keep doing that. You need to keep introducing a unique reward in a regular manner in order to pull in that fresh group of people that, yeah, you're not going to convert all of them into PvP players, but you're still pulling fresh people back into it.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like,
point.
I've always remembered in like WoW, because that's kind of been a long-standing MMO. It's not about it's not necessarily about what rewards you have. It's how many of the rare ones you have, because it's always that thing. I've always seen people go like, well, I have this mount that was required from or got from this raid or this achievement, and the other person pops up and it's like, I have it too. Then it's like, well, I have this one from this one-off event that only happened one time. Well, I have that one too. Well, I have the one from this other one-off event and they're like, well, I don't have that one. They're like, ha, yeah, noob, and like run off, like, or whatever. That's where they can show. So like Jim's saying, they can't just do it the one time. They have to consistently do it, because I mean, you're always going to have those people that will go in and hate the thing the whole time. But I think what they need to focus on is the people like both Robin and Jim are saying, that will go in and go, hey, you know what? I never gave this a fair shot. I actually did enjoy it, and will stay. And it might not be about the skins anymore. But then you naturally start to get that thing, because those people that are going in there for the skin are going to burn out on it and leave, and eventually not have the next season or the season after, because they're like, it's not worth it. So then that's where you get the rarity from. It's like, you're always going to, at least that's how I've seen other MMOs go that route, by having the consistency that if you put a somewhat of an effort in, not the top 250 effort or top 10, not the elite effort that potentially are requiring. But yeah, it's,
and to address Eugene's point, different game, different time. the gaming environment right now is so different from when Guild Wars 1 was out.
Oh
And
yeah.
Guild Wars 1 itself is a completely different game from Guild Wars 2. So you really can't compare the success of PvP in Guild Wars 1 to the success of PvP in Guild Wars 2.
And also, why was PvP in Guild Wars 1 so big? Because originally that's what Guild Wars 1 was. By the end of it, what were they advertising? They were advertising the story more so. In the original, like early on Guild Wars 1, they were more focusing on the PvP. But the PvPers liked it so much, they didn't throw away the PvP they had, so they stayed. So I think that's why it stayed stable so long. But by the end of it, they were talking way more story in Nightfall and Eye of the North than PvP versus launch. Because it was designed to be a PvP game kind of first and foremost, and then I think it was in development they had the story, and you know, it kind of was, I don't want to say an afterthought because that makes it sound like they didn't care about it, but it was, I think it was designed first as a PvP game, and then they made the other stuff to get more player base.
Right.
Probably from NCSoft's thing, like, well, we just don't want a PvP game.
And Bjorn, you also bring up the whole not having the spirit of competition thing, like different time. Like as of right now, the gaming environment is if you are going to be a PvP game, you need to be a PvP game.
Right.
Like you need to be invested in PvP.
Because there's so many options out there. Like, if you're not doing that, then
people say
it always
people say
reminds
that people say that League of Legends is cancer and is terrible, and I won't disagree that a lot of the community is kind of terrible.
You're like, you know, people say League of Legends is cancer and, you know, horrible, and it is. But
well, it's just it's a PvP game, and people get super crazy aggro about PvP games. And no, you're right, Bjorn. Is that's what it is. It's just, I'm not saying you're complaining about it. It's just it's the sign of the times in the gaming environment is you have to fulfill a niche. You cannot be everything to everyone anymore.
Yep.
Because
yeah, I was gonna say, look at like the new MMOs
games
that have been coming out. They have chosen, like, granted through Kickstarters, because MMOs aren't getting hugely funded anymore by publishers, which may be a good thing or a bad thing. You know, it's I was gonna say there's good and bad about both sides, but they kind of focus more on like, this is going to be our area of expertise. And I was gonna say, it kind of reminds me of, I forget what episode we did, but I remember someone made a video of, that's always been the problem, especially now with MMOs not being kind of the mainstream, every company has to make an MMO to be successful thing, is, you know, you look at World of Warcraft, you look at ESO, you look at Guild Wars 2. I don't know about Final Fantasy XIV because I haven't really played it, but they try to full force to have the top of each of those game modes. Whereas, I mean, I saw so many people for Overwatch going, hey, can we have a story mode? They're like, no, maybe someday, I don't know, but not right now. Where here's this game mode. It's
the problem with Overwatch is it feels like they wanted to make a movie, and Blizzard wouldn't fund the movie, so they made a game to fund the movie, and then they never made the movie.
What was it, before or after Warcraft? Because if it was after, I could understand them being skittish on that. Hey,
yeah, except they actually have I'm not going to get into the Warcraft movie because I remember sitting in this living room right here, having to pause the movie multiple times to explain to my mother and father-in-law what the hell was going on in the Warcraft movie. Which they thought was awesome because they're like, oh, what's that? Why is that happening? Pause. Why are those purple people in cages? Pause.
Why is Thanos green?
That's Chris Metzen. He's Green Jesus. Oh wait, he wasn't in that one.
No.
But yeah, so I think that's the thing, is like, kind of like Jim saying, it's, you know, how the times are, unfortunately, is I don't know if you can have games that are gonna be the everything game. And I honestly, I think this is what we were talking during pre-show about, was I think the investors still want them to be, which unfortunately it's like, why aren't you making all this money in the world? But anyway, that's what we're really just
we're doing big segues off of the topics this week, because that was off.
So well, I mean, we want to see better rewards for PvP. From a PvP standpoint, we want better rewards so we can lure the other people in, and from the PvE standpoint, we want to be enticed to go in. Like, I don't want to get slaughtered for nothing. At least I'm getting slaughtered, and I'm going, hey, at least eventually I'm gonna get a mount skin or a blah 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 skin or a. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The only light at the end of the tunnel is I realize it's the gleam off of someone's axe that's chopping into my body, and I don't know where I'm
this
going.
one's getting away from you.
I was gonna say, where are you going? I don't even know.
You know where I'm going? I have issues. Speaking of issues,
Wow.
I don't know. Could you tell I didn't know where I was going with that? So the extra pungent Skyscale treat was apparently having some problems, and they were saying the recipe only unlocks on a single character rather than account wide, and some players who unlock the recipe are no longer able to craft it. Yeah, that's a problem.
No.
And they are aware of this clearly, and they said they're gonna try to implement a fix for it, but they said there is a workaround till a fix is put in place. If you have started but not yet completed the Skyscale Lost Collection, you can speak to Goric to get the recipe again. So if you're in that situation, that is how you can address it.
Yay.
But so any other, well, I guess that's good that they're,
There's no real thoughts on this one. It's just they did the thing.
Are you happy that they're aware that their game has issues? But another issue, apparently a render server outage for Guild Wars 2's API. And I think in this situation, Jim, you're probably gonna do a lot of heavy lifting because I don't even know what I'm reading half the time. So apparently the render.guildwars2.com is a piece of the API that converts game assets images into JPEGs and PNGs for the to use in their apps and other things. So yeah, I don't know. Take it away, Jim. It's Greek to me.
Okay, so basically the whole point of this is that this is a public way to access the texture files in the game. It takes them from the server, flattens them into a single image with its name string, and it's just like render.guildwars2.com/armor set/armor set/head.jpg, and it's the flattened version of the texture mesh of that armor set's headpiece. So if you're running a modeling site that renders the model in like a Unity thing so you can preview what it looks like on your character, it can pull from that, unflatten it, and slap it on a model from there. That's the point of it, essentially, as far as I can tell.
And they're saying the server has been getting stuck in a bad state about every other month or so for a while now. They're thinking a little over a year. That doesn't sound good. I mean, how vital is this thing if it was in this potentially this state for possibly over a year? I guess it's not game breaking or anything of the such, since
this
people are still playing.
Yeah.
Okay. But they said that they're making it a priority for fixing render.guildwars2.com, and has been bumped up and is being actively worked on. The current status is debugging and gathering info on why it's breaking and as soon as they know more information, as soon as they know what the issue is, they said they'll fix it as soon as possible. So
so working on it.
Yeah, I actually just tried to go to render.guildwars2.com, and it just is a server not available page. Yeah, that's a server stuck in a bad state and you don't know why. Yeah, that's the story of my life at work. We have, and honestly, it's all the servers for our accounting software.
Oh,
That's the
yay.
problem. Yeah. So we have we have 2 servers for the accounting software that people get bumped to, and certain people cannot function on server 1 and certain people can't function on server 2 just because they both are technically imaged off of the same virtual message or a virtual machine, but they each have their own individual quirks for whatever reason.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the whole point of this is for like external modeling sites.
I was gonna say, so what would this be affecting? Since they're saying like API, like would this be affecting like any of like the like Guild Wars 2 efficiency or something like that? I'm just
don't think so, because that just reads account data for like inventory and everything for
Right.
efficiency. This would be any site that uses a like a 3D model render, because this is how they serve externally the or serve publicly the in-game assets for assets.
I'm just trying to figure out what like
It's
if there
if
is
we're not
something out there
hearing
that
too
would
much,
be utilizing it.
it would literally be anybody who does like a modeling system or like a preview system for looking at armor models.
Guild Wars 2 Armory confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like that's really all this could be, and I don't think it's widely used.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
But
couldn't
if
even
they
think of
do have
anything that would.
But if they do have a publicly facing resource and it keeps breaking on a semi-regular basis, I can't blame them for wanting to fix it. So
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
hopefully
this
this is like a hint of things to come of like like what I was like jokingly saying like an Armory style thing of like, or I would download that app of like you can have an app on your phone and be like basically play dress up with your character before you like log in, like you're sitting out you're at lunch, it's like at work or something, it's like I want to play dress up with my of course Norn, because I don't know why you'd have any other race.
Right.
It's like I want to make my Norn look as awesome as possible, and it's like you get that look and you can. So I don't know, maybe we'll see that in the future from third parties or maybe even from them, but I don't know. Sounds potentially interesting, but they got to figure out what's wrong with it first. So here's hoping. But next up we got the gem store, and first up in the gem store we have the Shrine Guardian Ears package for 500 gems. It gives you the Shrine Guardian ears and the glowing revered Shrine Guardian ears, which is what you can see there. And then, of course, it is an armor piece, so it is going to give you a light, medium, heavy version. So
They're funny.
But,
for some reason, all I can hear is caramel dancing in my head.
but yeah, 500 gems, and you can pick that bad boy up.
That's actually a pretty solid deal for 500 gems.
Yeah, you're getting. I mean, I know some people. If I said 2 versions of helmets, since only one has a glow effect, so
Right.
I'll meet you halfway and say a helmet and a half. Since it's like because you are getting 2 versions of a helmet, but
Yeah.
And all
for
3
every
armor sets, so.
for basically every armor class. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good deal for 500 gems. But also,
Go with though, like that's
What's
my
that?
problem. I
yeah,
don't know what it would go with. Mhm.
yeah, that's always the ultimate issue. That's why, going back to our previous thing, we need a Guild Wars 2 Armory or fashion app thing, because new gem store thing comes out. It's like, well, I want to see how it looks on my outfit. How can I play around with it? There you go. But also new in the gem store, we have the Skyscale Squad glider skin for 500 gems. And as you can see in the image here, it's a little baby Skyscale that kind of to most of the races attaches one to your back, one to your each arm, and one to each of your legs. And little Skyscale flutter to make you slowly descend as your glider normally does. But a little interesting thing, if you do have a char, we have a little video here, you can see it in action. They give you 1 extra one for your tail.
I feel like Norn should have 2 for each limb.
Oh no, I was gonna say I don't think they have 2 for each limb. I was gonna say I wonder if like the char, because they put 2 on the char's back, along with its tail. So I'm wondering if the Norn. I was trying to remember if.
That should be a thing. Yeah.
But I believe it has 2 die channels. So basically, the top part is one die channel, and then like kind of the belly part is another die channel.
Yay!
But yeah, you can pick that up for 500 gems.
Wait, that's only 500 gems? I
It's
thought
a
it was going to
glider.
be like 1,000.
It's a glider.
No, it's a glider. It's not a
It's
backpack
so
glider
neat.
combo.
Oh, I see.
That'd be weird. So it's just
Actually, that is 100 gems more than most gliders.
Right, because they're usually 400.
Yeah. So that is technically a top tier glider skin.
It is top tier. It's top tier.
How fast did you buy it?
I actually hadn't logged in yet, but I'm buying it now.
she just realized about it. So what? 2 minutes. But yeah, so definitely pick that up if you're interested in it. Maybe you got your Skyscale. Maybe you're in the process of getting your Skyscale and you're hanging around with all the little baby Skyscale and you're like, hey, I'm liking these little guys. I'm gonna miss them when they're gone. No, you don't have to. Now all you gotta do is when you're on your Skyscale, if you miss them, just hop off your Skyscale. Boom, glider. But yeah, so definitely pick that up. Some returning items. The Earth Shaker mining tool for 1,000 gems, which includes the Glyph of the Tailor, which gives you bonus cloth scraps while gathering. The Firestorm logging tool for 1,000 gems, which gives you Glyph of Industry, which gathers 50% faster. And the Thunder Strike harvesting tool for 1,000 gems, which gives you Glyph of the Leatherwork included, which gives you bonus leather scraps while gathering. And remember, those are infinite gathering tools, so they won't break or anything like that, like the ones you normally get through in-game means only. Some skins: the Phalanx heavy armor skin, the Trickster light armor skin, the Viper's medium armor skin, and the Zodiac heavy, light, and medium armor skins are all in the gem store for 800 gems apiece. I think we've constantly always recommend the Phalanx as like a good mix and match one, so if you want to check that out for heavy armors. Raven helm and the Raven mantle for 400 gems a piece each, and I think they have the Raven mantle. I think that's the one that they showed in the ear one. Second.
Oh, the mute didn't work.
No.
Well, I muted the recording. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
You
muted the right thing. Oh wait, guys,
Yeah.
Can you still hear us?
I hovered over. That's why it took me a second.
Ow, cat,
I
stop.
didn't grab a drink, so that was the problem. Some of the minis that are returning: the Jungle Lord Farron. So what is that? Speedo Farron, I believe.
No, not Speedo Farron. Lanecoth Farron.
Don't say that. You replied. Don't stop messing with me.
Basically
Outlaw
the same
Puppy,
thing.
Scruffy, the White Kitten, Demi Beetlestone, Maraca Choya Pinata. That's just fun to say. Maraca Choya Pinata. That is just fun to say. Packed Airship, Squire Aurene. I almost said Squirrel Aurene, which would have been Wyvern. Yeah. Though a Wyvern, Arrowhead, Garm, a Moose, Orange Kitten, or a Pet Rock. And so you can definitely pick those minis up. I think they just returned. They're not on sale or anything like that. But some on sale for a limited time. 20% off selected die kits. 1 for 100, 5 for 400, and 25 for 2,000 gems. But it's on the Deathly die kit, the Glint's Winter die kit, Solar and Lunar die kit, Krokotork die kit, Awaken die kit, and Lion's Arch Rebuild die kit, which I'm sure our opinions have not changed on the die kits, even if they are on a 20% sale, which if
My
you are new to
opinion
the
also-
game, I would say if you are new to the game, the risk is there are unique ones in there that usually vary. It's around 6-ish new dies. But it's a chance at those dies alongside like 20 dies that you can normally get in game for usually cheap. So you are taking that risk. They are tradable. So if there is a die you like, definitely check the trading post first if you want to go that route.
Yep. Because people will always do it, hoping for the new die that everybody wants to buy.
Yes. To go back to the Skyscale glider, Norns do get 2 on their back.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Also, to go back to the minis, the Arrowhead doesn't roll 0 out of 10 will not buy.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about
the-
this when it first came out.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people wanted it, but that's because it's a
Rolling is a
attacking. It's
skill.
an attack. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yep, rolling is a skill. Mini
I
pets
remember.
can't use skills.
Yeah, I remember that whole conversation now.
And Demi Beetlestone, I'll cry my eyes out if I had that, so I'm not going to buy it 0 out of 10.
Right.
And if Squire Arene was Squirrel Arene, I would buy 10 out of 10.
Isn't that just her with like a plate helmet on?
I think it's the outfit that's like the Champion of Tyria outfit. Like it has that like helmet type thing. I think it's basically the helmet that. But yeah, so definitely check that stuff out. Any final thoughts on any of the Gem Store stuff? Any other further recommendations on some of the stuff that's returned, or?
The Infinite Gathering tools are perfect for an Elementalist, and they should have put them in a bundle and called it the Earth, Wind, and Fire Harvesting Bundle.
Yes, they should have.
That is good. Or you just do it yourself, and you can snicker yourself and say it's your bundle. It's your own bundle.
Yeah, except it's 300 gems more expensive than if they were bundled.
Right.
But I also I can't recommend the Phalanx Heavy Armor skin enough, because Phalanx Heavy Armor is fantastic. Viper is pretty good too.
I was gonna say I've seen Vipers used a lot in medium armor setups. So
well, Viper doesn't. It's not a trench coat.
Yep.
Yeah.
So got that.
If you're going for a Game of Thrones type of thing, the Raven Mantle, because it's kind of that just like
or Eileen the
feathery
Crow from Bloodborne. So
yeah. So like I said, I think it's the one they used showing off the. Where is it at?
I might actually go in and get that for my my
that
Norn.
thing that's on her shoulders. I believe that's the Raven Mantle.
Yeah.
So I think it looks pretty good.
Oh.
Oh, I thought that was your reaction to the Raven Mantle. I was like, okay.
No, that's the reaction to a cat.
Yes.
Because that's a cat.
You know what you need to protect yourself? An outlaw puppy, and you can get that in the gem shop because it just returned. But yeah. So last up, we have Community Corner. Gamers Giving Back are doing even more stuff. They're doing the we've talked about it last week and I think the week before with some of their events, but they're also doing the Tyria Pride 2019 fundraiser. They are raising funds to go to Rainbow Railroad, a nonprofit organization that helps the LGBTQ individuals escape persecution and violence. So we'll throw out their Twitter, and if you're watching this on YouTube or the recording on Twitch, links should be in the description, but there's the Twitter to Gamers Giving Back, and also we'll throw in the fundraising page if you just want to directly go there. But yeah, so I mean, absolutely awesome. I mean, I think we've always said nothing but good things about Gamers Giving Back, from way back early on with Pink Day in LA, from Guild Wars 1, and
they do a lot of good work.
Yeah. So definitely awesome job. Can't wait to see what else is in store. I think they were even doing a couple things today. I think they were tweeting out right before we were going live. Yeah, I think they're doing some. I see POF Pride streamers and stuff like that. So yeah, I think they're doing stuff in relation to the Tyria Pride stuff. So definitely check them out. Also, we have the Unity Gaming Organization, UGO, doing their NA Core PvP tournament June 9th. The signups will, in case you're interested, maybe practicing for your top 250 for your title. But there's the sign up for it, and we'll throw in the donation page. But it's we've talked about them in the past. It's Jebro's kind of UGO tournament type thing that they've been doing in the past. This one's still the core PvP, so you're stuck to core specializations only, core ranger pets only, no class stacking, and they do welcome EU and NA players, even though it's the NA tournament. But you will be dealing with the ping issue or anything like that. But it will be happening 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacifics, and 6 p.m. GMT on June 9th. So definitely check that out. And just in case, if you don't have Jebro's Twitch, there it is right there.
I might actually be able to watch that tomorrow.
Yay!
Holy crap, that is tomorrow.
Yeah. It is the 8th, believe it or not.
Yeah, we're already well into June.
Man. But any other thoughts on the community corner in general?
Good on you, folks. Keep doing the stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, because that starts 2 p.m. Eastern. How long have we been going? Look at that. An hour and 40 minutes into recording. You're probably just wrapping this up if you just saw it at launch. Hop over to that Jebro's tournament thing and, check that out. It's like WoW Classic, but it's like Guild Wars 2 PvP Classic. There you go. That's how you gotta market it. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah.
Well, way to break the whole thing.
Not my fault. I didn't make the rules.
That's the problem with the Revenants. They can just slip through the mists at any point in time. They mess up everything.
Yeah, they should just get rid of Revenants entirely.
Whoa. We're not a thief. Hey, now. He's not here to defend himself.
Because we deleted thieves.
Oh, that should be his new absent picture. Thief deleted.
Yes.
But yeah, that is it for this week. Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO. You can also find me here on twitch.tv/MAADrealms. That's 2 A's in the MAAD. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time for stuff. Arlie, do you want to do the vertical gear progression stuff this week? I'm going to bump it up to 7 if that's the case.
Sure.
You have time? Cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Vote to Kick returns this week. Well, next Wednesday. We're talking about vertical gear progression in MMOs and probably just.
We're not doing Vote to Kick Deo? Darn.
No, we're not going to kick your transitions. We've kept them this long. I think they're just a staple of the show now.
They're grandfathered in.
But hope to see you all there, and I hope to see you all hanging out for the stuff after Vote to Kick, which is usually me just playing random games. Played Dauntless last week. That was fun.
Awesome. And Robin, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Arlie82. Yay.
And Vote to Kick apparently this Wednesday. Yeah,
that too.
And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. Been busy with some of the stuff that we're gonna try to announce on this channel, which we were gonna try to do live E3 coverage for some of the things, but I don't know if that's panning out. But we might try to do a entirety recap sometime afterwards. Follow at Mad Realms. We'll probably try to retweet something there if we're gonna do it, but we'll probably do it on here if you're following us on twitch.tv/MAADrealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. And we'll probably eventually put it up on YouTube, which youtube.com/MAADrealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. But yeah, if you that's how you can watch this show as well. If you somehow are hearing this and not watching it, that'd be weird. Maybe we're somehow hung up in a GameStop somewhere. They do that, right?
Yep.
Are they still open? But if you want this all in one nice little cozy place, we have our own website, maadrealms.com, 2 A's in the MAAD, of course, where we try to put up everything, and that's where we have the audio version of this podcast. But yeah, I know we've already announced that we're going to do a Warframe podcast. We still have a couple other things that we want to announce as well, so that should be revealing that soonish, hopefully. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming out, and do stick around. We do a bit of an after show, and as always, we'll see you in the game. Good night, everybody.